2018 could be seen as the year Jeffree Star reached the summit of happiness and success. He was not only head over heels with his partner, he launched Blood Sugar, which sold out within minutes and continues to fly off the shelves. And he was the focus of a Shane Dawson documentary that showed an in-depth look into his life. It was a side of Jeffree few of us had seen before. The comments were glowing. We went into Jeffree's $7 million closet and then went to the 7-Eleven. We sat with his Pomeranians, took a tour of the lab where the magic of his makeup happens, and spent a day with him. People got to glimpse under the surface of Jeffree Star, and they liked what they saw. Jeffree was comfortable in his own skin and had proved he was no sellout. Even when his enemies attempted to take him down with controversy surrounding things he had said 10 years ago and rumors of new poor behavior, he seemed to have a landslide of support, with most people agreeing his critics had little credibility. Since their accusations could not offer solid proof, any and all negative claims were easily eclipsed by Jeffree's success and, well, the fact he's the kind of fabulous everyone wants to be friends with.
Hi, how are ya?
It's no secret to my viewers I was among Jeffree's staunch supporters. I found him likable, intelligent, beautiful, and creative. In the Shane expose, Jeffree came across as more than a rags-to-riches story. He transcended misery and seemed to be a true survivor, which I find more rare and fascinating than just being wealthy. Jeffree Star mania had exploded, and everything was great, until it wasn't. Sometime around November, I noticed Jeffree's tweets became more acerbic. His gloating one-liners and Snapchats about karma were amusing at first, but took a turn at some point. The catalyst is something of a mystery, but where it ceased to be funny for me was when he started getting defensive over innocuous tweets. First to be brought to my attention was Ashley Kyle. He got short with her over nothing back in November, but he did apologize publicly and spoke with Ashley in private where they resolved the issue. So, even though there was a collective side-eye to Jeffree, I will leave those specific details to disappear into the ether where they belong after an appropriate apology. Still, it's relevant here because when someone attacks like that, even with an apology, there's something of a probationary period, and Jeffree didn't wait very long before getting hypersensitive again and lashing out on social media. For those who may not be familiar, I will put some links below to a couple of videos detailing some of the tweets Jeffree has since deleted. The ones he not only didn't apologize for, but rather doubled down on. What really galled me and disappointed me was that no one said anything particularly horrid to Jeffree, and what's worse, when he misunderstood people attempted to be diplomatic. He got much more understanding for his bitchery than you or I would. That is to say, people were giving him an out on his poor behavior. Yet no one could diffuse his moods. And when you've been rude to someone and no one else can make you see the light, that level of unreasonable becomes an abuse of power. Jeffree had lashed out at Nick Snider, Beauty Truth Sleuth, who is now Tea by Alley, by the way. I'll put that link below. And panicked Antics. Beauty by Alley tried to shine a light on Jeffree's misunderstanding and got caught in the crossfire. He wound up blocking them all, one at a time. I don't know if they are still blocked. I saw Allie posted that he had blocked her, then unblocked her a few minutes later. While all of these exchanges bothered me, the last straw was how he treated panicked Antics. Here's the tweet that she posted that set him off. I know JS has affiliations with Morphe, opening stores selling his product, but he gives this GS approved stamp. It will be the first time I didn't trust a review from him. I saw what it looked like on Manny. It will be very interesting to see if he reviews it at all. So in that tweet, Panicked merely speculated about what his reviews might be. He didn't seem to take it well. He responded, "You're delusional if you think the foundation will fail because of someone else's dry skin. Not how life works. Ha ha ha. I hate the internet. I don't have his texture or dry skin, so it won't perform the same." Okay, first of all, no one should love the internet more than Jeffree Star. The internet is the reason he can drive a fleet of luxury Pepto-Bismol bottles. As an aside, I saw Manny's video. He is hardly a scaly reptile. He claims to have combination skin, actually, and it appears dewy in spite of his complaints of some dryness. But clearly, he uses an expensive primer. And he's still in his 20s, so I fail to see how the results between him and Jeffree Star would be night and day. Nonetheless, Jeffree didn't like Panicked Antics' tweet and came at her with disproportionate disgust, in my opinion. While Antics' tweet wasn't blowing sunshine up his arse, it was hardly shade. In fact, I believe to most people that would be considered a compliment, in a very real sense. It means she'll be watching his reviews, and she's eager to see his take on it. I, like many of Jeffree's supporters, waited for him to at least realize he was heavy-handed and issue an apology. It never came. I really don't get people who do everything they can to get fame. Then when they have some measure of success, they get ugly when they can't control that fame. It's like I mentioned on my Manny video, some people who do well show that they're only as nice as they have to be. Let's take a look at how Jeffree could have handled that better. For starters, imagine you are a well-known person and someone says something like, he or she better not give that a good review. Insert your name in the beginning there. Now remember, in this scenario, you have no financial stress and you are the boss in your job, living your best life, aka better than everyone else's. Someone has said this about you. Now, even if it triggered you, wouldn't you ignore it? Or at the very least walk away from the computer for a bit? Perhaps if you did that, you might even be in a place where you could make light of it and say, hey, I'm an honest Abe, smiley face. You could make that person's day, and they might even fangirl and say, oh wow, thanks for your response. I'm sorry for the way I worded that. I'm just eager to see your review, and we're wondering what to expect, and blah, blah, blah. There's a million other scenarios I can think of. So many choices that would have been better. Jeffree instead was hypersensitive and defensive. He's made comments like, I'm the one who signs my paychecks, with regards to Morphe. I found that intellectually dishonest because, in fact, he does have a business arrangement with them, does he not? And he doesn't own that company. Therefore, someone besides himself issues paychecks to him at least part of the time. Is that so horrible to admit? Regarding the highly requested review from Jeffree, I'm always surprised that this matter of reviewing products for a company you work with is such a struggle for people to understand. While I think Jeffree has a history of giving honest reviews, I believe it's this simple. You do not review products for companies you work with. When you have a conflict of interest, you recuse yourself. Period. This is an ethics issue that I considered common knowledge since before most of these influences were even a romantic evening. It doesn't matter if you're the most honest person on the planet. Reviewing products for a company you work with should not be done. Now, if Jeffree believes his millions of viewers will trust his take and he wants to ignore convention on that one, that's really up to him, and I don't care. But don't expect that no one will raise a brow. This really is a no-brainer. But putting the focus back on his tweet about signing his own checks, that irked me, and it led me to the realization that Jeffree makes claims like this a lot. He likes to remind everyone he doesn't need a soul for his success. Only he is to thank. The Jeffree Star, island unto himself, does not need Morphe, he doesn't need fans, and certainly not pesky consumers like Panicked Antics who support him on the channel and buy his products. Jeffree has instead reminded us that we're just using his name to pay our bills. Really, let's do a little math. Here's what I spent on Jeffree Star Cosmetics in 2018. Plus that one and that one. Ching, 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 ching. Oh, look at that. $332.75. $332.75. And by contrast, here is what I made off of my Jeffree Star videos in 2018. Carry the one. Look at that. Oh, look at that. $0.00. Sure looks like no one outside of my household has helped keeping my fairy lights on. In fact, if my calculations are correct, I'm helping paying Jeffree's bills more than he helped pay mine. But to be fair, I will get AdSense this month, and there will be a check that I will use for giveaways on other products. Yes, other products from other companies. So it's good Jeffree doesn't care and won't feel any loss from an irrelevant person like me. Is that the best business practice? Oh well, it's his empire. He can run it any way he chooses. I can't tell you how much I've thought about this in recent weeks. I was truly disappointed to see that Jeffree not only didn't apologize for his mean tweets, he tweeted that it was all a promotional stunt to get a rise out of people before a launch. Not only did this tweet not hold any water, It means when he Snapchatted that same day saying people were lying about him on the internet, that would have to have been part of his plan for that promotion, which means he was taking his viewers for a bunch of fools too. He was duping these sheep. This video isn't to definitively label Jeffree Star a bad person. And that's unfortunately a perspective some people will have just by virtue of public criticism. But I refuse to be afraid to dare criticize YouTube royalty, because the way he's handled himself on Twitter with no remorse means, good or bad, I don't consider him good enough to deserve my money. Listen, I get it if you feel it's not that deep and you still support Jeffree. I won't hold that against you. I certainly see his fun side. The reasons I liked him still exist. Unfortunately, there is also this other side. And I'm a proponent of the idea that we're only as good as our worst deed. I won't hold it against you at all for loving Jeffree, just as I hope you will understand my perspective. I often say I have 99 problems and the net ain't one of them. Boy, is that the truth. I don't believe anyone is beyond redemption for the most part. The behavior of one influencer is not something that would keep me up nights. But very simply put, I will not support someone who tries to squash a small channel like a bug just because he can. Why should I? There's having a bad day. We all have them. At one time or another, we all have to apologize for our behavior. But you start piling up more and more incidences, like lambasting people on Twitter again, making a concerted effort to make people who like you, in some instances, look up to you, feel bad, in situations you could and should easily walk away from, then you're not just having a bad day. You're kind of a jerk. And if I can help it, I don't give jerks my money. And Jeffree can say that doesn't matter, but I think we all know it's supposed to matter. As a footnote, when I lived in Hollywood, my 10-year-old son knew you treat the craft service lady with the same respect you give the director. If you really value people, you see the value in all of them, not just the ones who achieve fame. It's a matter of knowing what's important and keeping yourself in check. Today, we are vloggers. Tomorrow, we are ghosts in the archives. And you can be sure, many years from now, when they are looking us all up, our money, or the lack thereof, will not be what they talk about most. So saith a housefrau.